don't, no, we're not going there. But I feel like it's gonna happen one day and I'm just gonna be like,
Do you see that? What?
I'm laughing because I'm
looking at a
bothered.
kid like.
So I'm going to be honest. I've been holding off on these videos for weeks. I think I've had this footage since early April of this year. And the main reason why I've been holding off for so long is because, one, I wanted to make like a cute little intro to talk about like how I came up with the video ideas and stuff like that. And also to talk about the current situations that's been going on regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, police brutality, all these different things. But anyone who follows my social media, they know my stance at this point. I'm tired of discussing it with people who clearly don't want to change their perspective on the matter. So if you want to help out, please do. If not, I don't care anymore. Stay over there. I'm making these videos at this point as a distraction for me. I want to have something else to think about, something else to put my energy towards, and something to laugh at, to be honest. If you want to laugh and watch this or think about something else too, hey, by all means, go ahead. But this is more for me than it is for you, I'm gonna be honest. I had a video a while back talking about my thoughts on dating shows, and basically I'm just sick of them. I feel like if we're gonna have these shows, they need to switch it up some. I'm sick of talking about love all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to hear my friends' responses to the things that I said in my video. I'll have a link to the video in the description below. The first person that I talked to was my good friend Gabby. We have been friends since our freshman year of high school, so we've been friends for pretty much 8 years at this point. She currently lives in Brooklyn, so it was cool to catch up with her after not seeing her for I think about a year at this point, and seeing what she had to say. So let's get into that.
This meeting is being recorded. All right, cool. So I am here with my first interviewee, my friend since freshman year of high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, freshman year of high school. So it's been not 4 years. Where's my math? 8?
Almost 8, yeah. Oh my God, we've been out of high school for so long.
Oh, no, we're not going there. We're not old, I swear.
Try not to feel old, challenge, fail.
First interviewee, Gabby, how are you?
I'm good. Good.
So from what I told people already, I pretty much thought that us just like being friends in high school. So since graduation, do you mind explaining like what you've been up to since?
Yeah, so I went to Lone Star College and I got my associates in chemistry. And then after doing that, because it was only supposed to take 2 years, ended up taking 2.5 years because of Harvey. Like literally just going through all the natural disasters. Woo! All of them. I moved to New York like 6 months after that, and I've been up here February. The first week of February was marked a year for me, so I've been up in New York. Finishing culinary school, I had one class left. It was my final, and the school closed that weekend. So again, it's great. I was a preschool teacher for a little bit, and now I was working as a line cook at this really cool Korean restaurant, all female staff, female head chef. So it was very, very fun.
Awesome. All right, so we can go ahead and jump into things. So you saw my video on like shows like Love is Blind and Are You the One, things like that, and how I felt about how it could possibly ruin people's expectations on relationships and things like that. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what I said.
Mm-hmm. So I agreed totally like with it. I feel like if somebody who is exposed to those kind of shows like really young can kind of have a misconception about love and romance, with some added points that like, somebody who is already in a very well-established, like healthy relationship could watch it purely for entertainment, but that's not always how they're advertised or like marketed. They're marketed for the drama and the entertainment, and don't you want something as like adventurous as this? Right. And I was talking to my roommate about it because I was telling her that we were going to have this conversation. And she was like, oh, did you start watching it? Like Love is Blind is like one of my favorites, da, da, da. And I was just like, no, like for me personally, that's not the reality show kind of stuff that I like watching.
Mhm.
Just because I'm not a big pusher on that romantic love is the goal of life. You know, for me, it's
Yeah.
like you find something that you're happy about. I feel like saying that everybody needs to find someone to be in love with is similar to telling a woman that her life's not complete until she has kids. And it's like, not every woman wants that, you know? Like not everybody is looking for, like, you know, long time love or whatever.
So is there like a certain show in particular that falls under that category that you have like an issue with, or are there like any of those shows that are kind of a guilty pleasure in a way?
No, it's kind of like how you said in the video where you were like, I'm gonna get so much for like calling out The Bachelor, but it's like that's like the biggest, like, most well-known show. I mean, they're like what is it? TLC has had like a bunch of shows like come and go. E's had a bunch of shows, you know, run through it and stuff. But that is The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are like long time standing shows, and like I just feel like, you know, they're also very like non-inclusive, you know, because it's like, yeah, you rarely ever see like, you know, various, you know, people of colors, various people of like different sexualities, and like things, shows like Love Island. Do you understand how much more fun? Like, I would probably start watching that show if they threw in like a couple of bisexuals, a couple of pansexuals, and a couple of asexuals, just to mix things up and have people be like, oh yeah, I totally, you know, you're the one I'm compatible with, and just have the asexual be like, I'm not romantically attracted to any of you, but you want to be friends, that's cool. Like, that would be awesome. Like,
Mhm.
that would be quality stuff, you know?
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of what you see is very, very heteronormative. And with all that said, you know, I need to make it clear I'm not an avid watcher of these shows, mainly because
Okay.
this is my interpretation of them. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel all the things you said about shows needing to be more inclusive. I wasn't able to watch it, but I saw that there was like a very inclusive season of Are You the One? I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so their last season had people of different types of genders and sexualities involved, and I wasn't able to watch it, but I really wish I could because it just seemed so interesting, just like the different variety of relationships that was going on in there. And I felt like I'm not sure if this is a, the right thing to say, and I apologize if I offend anybody. But I wonder if like having bigger options for like the types of relationships you could fall into was just like bound to create more chaos. And I wonder if like that's the reason why they made this more inclusive version, because I felt like with more options, there's bound to be more feelings involved and more chaos. This is just like coming off the top of my head right
I
now.
mean, no, I think that's a mildly fair statement. And, you know, it being more inclusive than, you know, its predecessors, like that makes sense, you know, because is the newest show, I think, that's kind of like grabbing everybody's attention.
Mhm.
um no, I mean, yeah, I can see somebody like a showrunner wanting to utilize, you know, people's differences to cause drama.
Mhm.
um but again, you know, it all comes down to like who's actually going to watch it, and if it gets viewers, then it's going to stay on air. So yeah.
Funny, we actually talked about heteronormative relationships in the media because that was actually what my a friend of mine had their hot take on. So this was from my own roommate up until a couple of weeks ago when they said, hot take, we're conditioned from childhood to want to be in partnered hetero relationships by children's media. Adult media is just a sad attempt at achieving that goal.
I believe that because you have to keep in mind like who the showrunners are, who's producing it. Like, you know, they all have the say and like the people that get chosen and kind of like where the show goes. You know, reality TV is very unrealistic.
Mhm.
Personally, like I am pansexual, and my family in the last couple of years has just gotten used to the idea of saying, oh, and Gabby has a partner. Like, I know it for sure I want kids,
Mhm.
regardless of who I'm with. So they can always kind of like fantasize or tell me what they think it's going to be like when I have kids or when I raise kids. But yeah, like even like my grandparents are starting to refer to what was, oh, what will soon be your husband is not going to be, you know, your partner, your significant other when you find the one, you know, which is like really good considering that I come from a very, you know, Southern Latino family. Those shows in particular were not things that I grew up watching. Like my mom watched them every now and then, but it wasn't one of the things that like she had me sit down and like watch with her, like, oh, look at how they like, you know, try to get this guy, or look at how all these girls, you know, fought for their attention or whatever. It wasn't, you know, put in front of me that way. So I think that's why I'm a little bit more comfortable speaking about my sexuality and identifying with my sexuality than some other people are. But yeah, I completely agree with that. That I feel like that is a big thing that certain people from older generations, you know, still want to keep in front of people on television, because that's what we're used to. That's the normal. That's, you know, what everyone should try to achieve. So it's like, yeah, now I get that.
I remember, I think it was when that cartoon Arthur, they had their teacher get married to another man. I remember people being so upset about that, because they were just like, these are kids, you can't shove this kind of thing down their throat. And it's just like, we're introduced to love and relationships for practically since birth. If we're gonna do that, we might as well make things just like more realistic, and just kind of remind people that like heterosexual relationships aren't the only kind of relationships out there, and kind of just like at least introduce them to it. We're not saying like this is the only option, the ones you've been taught are the wrong thing. It's just something that's just like, hey, this is a thing too. We want you guys to be more familiar about it. With me, when it comes to sexuality these days, I'm not sure if this is going to make sense. I don't want people's like acceptance anymore. I just want their respect, if that makes sense. Just like
their respect and almost indifference, where you're just like, I don't want people to be like, well, you know, it's okay for you to come out with us to this place, even though you're this, like, you know, it's like, that shouldn't matter.
Right.
It should just be kind of I should be allowed to go or do things regardless of my gender, my sexuality, my whatever, you know? It's like,
as long as I don't hear the, as long as you don't hit on me line, I better not hear that like a day in my life, because I will go off. I haven't heard it yet, fortunately, but I feel like it's gonna happen one day, and I'm just gonna be like,
no, same. Like if I get like, if I've had a couple of glasses of wine or something, and I start talking about like, oh man, this girl, she was like so cute or something, I can tell that it'll make one of like my straight girlfriends like kind of uncomfortable, you know, and so like I'll dial it back, because to me, I'm like, that's the same as like if one of my guy friends was just like going off about a girl, you know, and I'd be like, dude, like what the you know, so I mean, like I'll chill out or whatever, but at the same time, I don't want them to be like under like the thought that, oh, well, she must, you know, like me. Like, no, I don't. If I like you, I'll tell you. I didn't tell you that, so calm down.
I have this thing called standards. I'm not sure if you heard of those.
There's this thing called standards. Yeah, no, but no, like you said, so something like a child's cartoon, including that, like even people who I know that are part of the LGBTQ plus community will still use things like, you know, they see a baby boy and go, oh man, he's gonna be a lady killer, you know, just because they're so used to it, you know. But it's like even so, it's still something that was instilled in the person saying it, that is said around, you know, a child who is like an infant, who like has made no decision about themselves or their identity or, you know, personality or anything like that. So I think it's really unfair for people to be like, oh, you shouldn't shove LGBTQ plus stuff in a child's face. It's like, well, don't shove, you know, heteronormative stuff in people's face, like child or not, like, you know, they should be that it should be normal for them to see things. It's the same thing with like, you know, different races and ethnicities in the media. You know, people want to feel represented. So a kid who has two of the same gendered parents feel like, oh, I could see that in the media because that's how my family is, you know, kind of behavior. So yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Kids are fine. Like I remember growing up, and then as a daycare teacher, as a preschool teacher, seeing like two little boys. Oh my God, I don't want to say their names, but there were these two kids, and it just, I loved it so much because it was just like, it was so sweet. Two little boys, they would hold hands everywhere. They would kiss each other. We'd have to tell them no touching like that, you know, like, because we were really big on like consent in the classroom, you know, like, you know, you can't go and kiss so-and-so's cheek unless, you know, they said it was okay, like, you know, ask, because I mean, these are like 2 and 3 year olds. They can talk, they can ask questions and stuff. It's not too early to tell them stuff like that. But yeah, like they were all just like running around or whatever. But we would have teachers from other classrooms who would look at one of the boys and go, "Oh, he's going to be so good looking. He's going to do so well with the ladies." And I'm just like, "Do you not see him running around with the other little boys? Do you see that? What?
I'm laughing because
You're
I'm
already looking at a
bothered.
kid like that? Like, oh, I can't wait to see how he grows up so I can, like how he'll look then. Like, you should not be teaching here.
Go to jail.
Go to jail.
Bye. Bye. Yeah, no, it's, yeah. A lot of interesting people working in childcare, honestly.
Ooh.
Like, go to.
I feel like the biggest reason why people try to avoid putting more LGBTQ stuff out there, like for like younger audiences, is like that fear that they're gonna grow up gay. And I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
we've been given like heteronormative stuff for like ever, and
Yeah,
if we're
people
gonna apply
say
that
like,
logic,
"Gay.
and like we wouldn't have this issue at all.
We still grew up gay."
We're still out here.
No, I think another issue is that putting it on TV or just making it presentable to certain audiences, young audiences, means that the parents or teachers have to explain it, and they're uncomfortable explaining it because they don't understand it.
Mhm.
People fear what they don't know, and so a lot of parents don't want to talk about it. And I feel like at this day and age, it's so easy to just look it up and find out what the means. What are examples of it, and not present it in like a negative light. Two women being together does not mean that they can't have kids. Two men together does not mean that they can't have kids and stuff like that. And it's just another matter of like giving people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community a platform to share their story and like things about themselves, so it's not just coming from a straight white person's mouth. The information.
I've really been thinking about like if there are such things as stupid questions. And I know there's always that thing of like, oh, there's no such thing as a stupid question. To me, there are, and I feel like stupid questions are the kind of questions that you have where like you could have looked up the answer on your own, but you actively chose to ignore the information that was there, and you just continued asking that question, if that makes sense.
I can see somebody who's like, look, I looked this up, I went out on my own and tried to understand what it means to be in this kind of relationship or be interested in this kind of, relationship or whatever, and not feel convinced or like that they really understood it, and then wanting to go ask somebody. Like for reassurance, fine. Yeah. But if you're literally sitting in a group with somebody and someone is explaining to you like their experience or their sexuality or just how something in their personal life works, and then somebody will still ask a dumb question, it's a dumb question. Like you're not listening, and that's the fact of the matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So I have nothing else coming up in my head. Did you have any final thoughts about like this particular topic, or going back to like the media and romance?
Final thought, should be more inclusive, but like romantic love does not always equal happiness. Yeah.
Period.
Period.
All right, cool. So I think we can just hop off of this recording and just catch up, because I haven't seen you in a year. That just hit.
I know. Like literally, that's the picture that I have on my wall is when you were here and we went to go to the Broadway show. So it's like, yeah, it's really good. Okay.
So we're gonna hop off of this recording
and chat
some more. Of course. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, let's move on.